I thought of doing this presentation. It's quite a number of slides, but some very interesting stuff I hope that I'll be able to tell you tonight. So the first one, please, Tandi. The magic water journey. Now, I'd just like to say where this whole thing started off. It was about 8 years ago when a friend of mine called Roland Roosschutz built this piece of equipment called the Metatron resonator. And in essence, it's a Schumann frequency oscillator. And it then pulses a magnetic field, and he put some water on it, as you can see. And one day he called me and he said to me, "Philip, I need to show you something." I said, "Well, okay, what?" He said, "Well, you need to come to my house. I've got to show you something." So what he'd done, he'd magnetized the water. Let's call it now magnetized the water. And if we can just go to the next slide. He then planted 2 tomato plants in exactly the same soil. The one on the left, he just gave normal tap water, and the one on the right, he gave this magic water, whatever you want to call it. And now you can see, I don't know how long it was after he planted it, but you can see the one on the right has got is a lot greener and a lot more leaves. So this is the actual photo I took when I saw it. Subsequent to this, of course, they started carrying tomatoes, and the one on the right actually had tomatoes a month before the one on the left. So there was a month difference. And then you can see it starting to get winter, if you look at the grass. He then told me that right throughout the winter, he didn't give any of the 2 water, but the one on the left didn't survive and the one on the right did. So that got me interested, and I immediately bought one of those machines that he designed, and I've been drinking that water ever since. Okay, now next slide, please. Fast forward 8 years. So I've been drinking the water, and then I met a lovely Yvonne from Biosil. And because she is involved with water in terms of specifically colloidal silver water, I decided, well, this is perhaps the right time now to pursue this thing further. And I started developing this product further. Now, just some interesting things you probably all know, but it's important that all living organisms consist of at least 70% water. We all know that. And the cells inside these organisms actually more than 80%. And we all know that there'll be no life on Earth without water. So if you just think about it logically, it makes sense to consume the best possible water for improved vitality. I mean, if you just think about it, but we just take water let's just drink water, and yeah, there it is. But I got a big surprise. So my goal was to use technology to create the best possible water for plant, animal, and human consumption. That was what I started off with. Okay, next one, please. Now, what is wonderful about water is it's a very simple construction. It's basically an oxygen with 2 hydrogen molecules coupled to it. And what is important is the 2 hydrogen molecules are positively charged, the oxygen negative. So you have a slight positive, negative total effect. Now, if you look at steam, you'll see these molecules are far apart from each other, which makes sense. If you look at water, you have some little bit of a structure where some of the hydrogen, which are positively charged, connects to some of the oxygens, which are negatively charged. But you can see it's unstructured, it's random. And that's what normal water looks like. But when you freeze water, something magic happens. Then you get this hex structure that actually forms just by itself. So you can see from the molecules in steam being far apart to water being in chaos, really, and ice, how well it's structured. Now, you've got to keep this picture in your mind, because as we go on, I'll show you more of it. Okay, and it's all about hydrogen bonds. So the hydrogen bonds to the oxygen, and then you get these wonderful things. Okay, next one, please. Now, the first magic part about water is actually that it's got memory. And how do we know that? Well, this very famous guy, Dr. Omoto from Japan, he did these tests. He took some water, different glasses of water, and he would use his intent on them. So one he would every day speak to and say, I love you, I love you. The next one he would say, I hate you. The other one he would say, you're evil. And so he did all of this to the water, and then he froze it. And he looked under a dark field microscope, and this is what he actually saw. So the water absorbed that intent, and it changed the actual structure of the ice. Now, this is all ice, but it's the molecules within the ice. So this was proof that water has got memory, which is actually amazing. Now, if you look at evil, if you look at polluted water, if you look at you fool, look at the beautiful peace, thank you, angel, etc., etc. And he wrote many books, and there you'll see some links, YouTube links. You can just go and have a look at it, and you'll see all these fantastic things. So water has got memory. Now, if we go to the next one, if it's got memory, then it's best to drink water without memory, because you don't know where that water has been. It can be good memory, bad memory. You just don't know. So you drink the water and you don't even think about it, but actually that water has got the memory. So it then makes sense to try and clear that memory before you drink it. Okay. Now, how do you clear the memory? Nature, when the water evaporates and it becomes clouds and it rains again, that's apparently what I could find out. That's the way nature clears the memory. Okay. One thing that's important, if you purify water through a reverse osmosis, it doesn't clear the memory, because the memory is actually energy. It contains the energy of everything that it sensed. So by just having purified water, the memory, unfortunately, is still in there. So that doesn't help you. Another way of clearing the memory is through applying an alternating magnetic field. And that's the technology I'm using to structure the water. And we'll talk about that a bit later. Now, there are lots of theories about how water stores this memory, but nobody really knows. It's still a mystery how this memory actually is stored within the water. Okay, next one, please. So in conclusion, what I learned is be aware that what you feel and what you think and what you say will be stored in any nearby water, including in plants. So if you have a plant close to you and you are swearing or you thinking negative thoughts, go straight into the plant because it goes into the water. So be very careful when you have any water close to you, because your intentions, your thoughts, your emotions, what you say goes into the water. Okay, so for me it was, I need to change my relationship with water. In other words, I need to realize the magic about water and treat it actually as part of me. Okay, next one, please. Okay, now we get, first we talked about the memory, and there's a way to get rid of the memory. Now, if we talk about structured water, it's also called easy water, called exclusive zone water. And this was named by Professor Gerald Pollack. He's really the guru when it comes to water. He spent his whole life studying water, looking at all the aspects of water. And he wrote a book called The Fourth Phase of Water, where he explains everything about water. And it's a wonderful book to read if you ever want to. Another guy that did a lot of research is Glenn Ryan. He's a doctor. He was actually a medical doctor who then left his medical practitioner to do research on water. And there are lots of YouTube videos where you can go and watch these guys where they tell about their research. Okay, next one, please. So to get to the structured water, let's look at this ice structure again that I spoke about. Once again, you'll see the oxygen, red oxygen molecule and the two hydrogens. And then when you freeze it, it forms that hex structure. But the other interesting thing is that you get layers. So you get a hex structure, like you see there, and you have layers on top of each other, and they are connected via protons to the oxygen molecules. And that forms a very, very solid structure. That's why ice is hard. But it only works, obviously, at temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius. As soon as it becomes warmer, that bond is broken. But that is what ice really looks like, if you can go and have a look at it. So structures. Now, next one, please. Now, structured water is actually water that has got those structures, but it doesn't have those connections anymore. So the temperature is above 0 degrees. And then what happens is, if you have those structures, they are just offset slightly, and they are held together with more hydrogen bonds. So it's not very strong, but it is still there. So you get these layers of hex structures and then slightly offset so that they could connect to each other. And that is called structured water. Now, if you look at the picture, on the left is normal water that you can see is just randomly connected. And on the right is structured water. And I'll show you a test just now, but just to show you this, if you had to drop let's say a molecule of food coloring into the left side, and it needed to go through all of those molecules, you'll see it needs to find a path because there are no holes. If you go to the right, the structured water, and you drop it, you can see there are holes, so it should drop straight through. Okay, so that is the difference between structured and normal tap water. Okay, next one, please. Now, the question is, how do you structure water? Well, in nature, nature does it through the normal flow of water in rivers and streams over rocks. So if you look in the mountains, if you go walk in the mountains, you'll see the water flowing down over rocks. And that is the natural way of structuring water. And we're meant to drink that water. But of course, we don't, because that water now goes to big plants, and there it gets treated, and it goes through pumps, and it goes through pipes. And when it gets to your house, it's not structured anymore. And it's got memory, of course. So nature does it, but we can't drink that water. And that's why people who go hiking, if you ask them, they say, oh, that mountain water was just fantastic. It just tasted fantastic. And it's because it's structured. Okay. So another way to get structured water is if you have ice and you melt it. As it melts and it becomes water, it's automatically structured. So that's one way, but I mean, that's not a very practical way of doing it. An interesting thing that Professor Pollack found is infrared light actually helps to structure water. So if you could apply infrared light to water to structure it. Now, the way I do it is with an alternating electromagnetic pulse. Thanks to my friend Roland, who did that experiment with the tomatoes, he accidentally got onto this technology to structure the water using magnetic fields. So I pursued this, and that's what I use at the moment. Okay, next one, please. Now, if you go shopping, especially in America, but in South Africa, you get them too. You get so-called Vortex structuring devices. It's that tube that you can see there in the middle, and it's just actually you can make these things yourself. If you go YouTube videos, it's a tube, and you put some marbles in there, and you pour water through it, and as the water runs through it, it causes vortexes, and out on the other side is structured water. But unfortunately, of course, the memory won't be erased because it can't, and you can't add any other frequency. So it will just structure the water, but you can do that. Okay, so that's a typical device that you can buy, a structuring device. Okay, next one, please. Now, here's an example of this pulse magnetic device. So you just have your 1.5 liter water, and you have a device under it with an electromagnet, and you pulse that. And depending on the frequency that you put in, you get different effects. On the right is actually an oscilloscope signal of that pulse, electromagnetic pulse. You can see if the frequency there is 528 hertz. The advantage of this technology is you can put any frequency in there. So there's no limitation to anything. You can put in any frequency and imprint it into the water. And that's what we've used. Okay, next one, please. Now, the big question is, how do you test to see if the water is structured? Well, the truth is there are no tests available. So you just have to take the word of the people selling structured water or a structuring device that it's working, because you can't test it. I've seen some voltage test with a Vortex device. Now, I haven't used it myself. I've seen they do a voltage test of the water coming in and voltage test of the water going out, and there seemed to be a difference, but I haven't done it myself, so I can't stand in for it. The one test which I have developed, a very simple test, is the food coloring drip test. Now, once again, if you look at the image in the center of the two water containers, I just have that picture again of the unstructured water that's random, that if you try and put something through there, it will have a difficult time, and then structured water that's got holes. Now, on the left-hand side is structured water. So what you do, you drip, just one drip of food coloring about 5 millimeters away from the surface, with a small dripper. And as it drips in, it touches the water, it then finds a hole or holes, and it goes straight down. As you can see, it's a tube straight down, and it goes to the bottom. Makes sense. On the right-hand side, you have unstructured water, normal tap water, and you can see how that molecules struggle to get to the bottom. So there's a very simple test to see if the water is structured or not. You can do it. Easy. You just make sure that you have the same drop size and the same distance above the water for both. And you just do the test, and you'll immediately see if the water is structured, because it actually makes sense. Okay. Okay, next one, please. Here's another view. I actually used 2 glasses of structured water on the left and right, and the center one is normal tap water. And the interesting thing there is, after 30 minutes, when looking at the glasses from the top, look at the two half circles of the structured water, and the center one is just basically just the dye. I can't tell you why that is, but it's just interesting. And also that the two structured ones, the half circle is pointing in the same direction. So I need to investigate that further, but that's an interesting observation. Okay, next one, please. A question I've had, how long does it last? If you structure the water with this device, for how long can you use it? Well, the answer is structured water stays structured until something else destructs it. So it will be stable until it comes into contact with something, with another energy, which can break those bonds, and then it won't be structured anymore. For instance, if you take water through a pump, electric pump that spins, it's going to break those bonds, and coming out of it, it's not going to be structured anymore. So if you structured it and you keep it and you don't do anything to it, it should stay structured. But of course, the problem is we live in an environment with radio waves, cell phone waves, Wi-Fi waves, and those all, it's energy. So if it's too close to a Wi-Fi or cell phone or whatever, that energy can get into the water and it can destruct the structures, and it won't be structured anymore. So you just have to use a bit of common sense, keep it away from devices. And if you do that, it should be able to last for weeks easily, that you can still drink it. Okay, next one, please. Just some actual tests, because I always say, okay, structured water, so what? What can it do for you? Well, here's a typical example of the effects on plants. Now, remember, I saw the one right in the beginning, but I didn't see the tomatoes then. I just saw the size of the plants. This one, they had radish. So on the left, they just applied structured water, on the right, normal tap water. And the general result is you use about 30% less water than you would with normal tap water, and you get about 30% more yield. That's a general guideline in terms of structured water. Okay, next one, please. Now, effects of structured water on animals. There are many reports of where, for instance, they gave cows just structured water and they had a large increase in the milk yield. This is a report written by Lynn, 1992. The other one is also they found a large increase in the Brix value, well, actually doubled, which is an indication of the sucrose percentage per 100 gram of liquid. So it definitely increased that. There's also a very comprehensive report by Lawrenson, written in 2000. And another report that I have that I can send to you, it's all on PDF, by Korotkov in 2019 about the effects of structured water on both humans and plants. So lots of scientific evidence that it really is beneficial for humans and plants and animals. Okay, next one, please. Okay, the effects on the human. Okay, if we drink it, what's going to happen? Well, the one big claim is it's excellent to hydrate the body. And there's a claim that most of the world's people are actually dehydrated all the time. I don't know how true that is. Probably true, because I don't think we don't drink enough water. So that's one thing they do. And there's a very nice video that you go and watch where they actually take a blood sample of somebody that's dehydrated, look at it under a microscope, drink structured water, 12 minutes later, take another sample, and you'll see the difference. I'll show you the picture now. Another interesting one in America, I found that there's a big company called Defiance Fuel, and they sell structured water for athletes because of the hydration factor. So it's a big business. It says hydration of the fittest. They actually just sell structured water to athletes. There's also a claim of increased energy. Now there I can talk for myself. When I drink this water, about 10 minutes later, I just feel revitalized. Now that could be placebo effect, but for me personally, I can feel the increased energy, but that's just me. There are claims of it will detoxify your body, speed up cell repairs, blah, blah, blah. I don't have evidence for that. I think we still want to do a lot of tests to see exactly what it can do for you. Okay, next one, please. Yes, actually that hydration test on the left is actually the red blood cells all clogged up for somebody that's dehydrated. And then you drink the water and 12 minutes later, look at the cells. So there's actually proof in terms of the hydration. And we plan to do the same test with Dr. Steve Hansen and some energy tests with Marina of BioWell to see if we can measure, because to me, that's a big thing. We're also able to measure the results. Okay, next one. Okay, now, if you can allow me to become a bit spiritual, the magic of 528 hertz. So this is also referred to the love frequency. And why? What's so magic about it? So if you look at 528, and you do this little sum, you say 5 plus 2 is 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 is divisible by 3, 6, and 9. Now, the 3, 6, and 9, you probably know, are the Tesla numbers. Tesla said these are the magic numbers, and the whole universe is actually constructed from these numbers. So it's actually quite a magic number. And it's part of the so-called solfeggio frequencies. And you can see them there on the diagram. And all those frequencies, you can do the divide by 3 test. So if you add them up, they will be divisible by 3. So that's the magic about them. Okay, now, what's so wonderful about 528? So what? Well, I then did some research to try and find any results or tests where 528 hertz was involved. And next slide, please. I actually found one beautiful one. In this test, they had 3 plants, as you can see, with the same soil, the same lighting. The plant on the left was given only tap water. The middle one was given structured water. And the one on the right was given structured water, but with 528 hertz added. And there's a very nice video you can watch, a time-lapse video you can go and watch, and it just shows it. So there's just no question that the 528 does something in terms of the growth. Okay, so that's for plants. Now, what about humans? So I did some more research. The next one, please. Oh, sorry. First, the effects on animals. I couldn't find any research done with structured water and 528 hertz. So that is something we probably will do in the future, just to try and get some results. Okay, next one, please. Okay, now effects of 528 hertz on humans. I found a document where clinical trials were done by a bunch of Japanese doctors. And what they did, they had lots of subjects, and they had 528 hertz tone on speakers that they put in front of the subjects. And then they looked at the endocrine, etc. systems without the 528 and with. And I've actually got a copy of that report. And for every single case, it showed that there was a great benefit if the human was subject to 528 hertz. So to me, that was proof that I think that's the way to go. Right, next one, please. So now I thought, okay, wouldn't it be wonderful to drink structured water with 528 hertz, imprinted, and the memory cleared? Wouldn't that be magic if we can drink that water all the time? So yes, I programmed the device and to do that, but it did not end there. Okay, next one, please. In my research, I heard about healing water of the world. Healing water, what is that? So looking around, I found that there are a number of healing places, healing water around the world. And funny enough, we've got one in South Africa, Caledon, Frikapenaars, Caledon Healing Waters. There's Lourdes in France. I think that's a very famous one. The Dead Sea, India, Japan, Bahamas, Hungary, Turkey, New York. Now, the claims made are incredible about this wonderful healing water. People stand in queues to get to the water to heal themselves, and they are fantastic stories. But okay, so show me some proof. Yeah. Next one, please. So we were very fortunate that Glenn Ryan, who did a lot of research, him and his partner went to all these places all over the world, these claimed healing waters. And they took samples of the water, froze it, and shipped it over to America to go and analyze it. And here's the interesting thing. When they analyzed the water from all over these places, they found one common factor in all of them. They could detect a frequency of 65 hertz in all of them. Now that is the magic about the water. They all contained a resonance of 65 hertz. And thank you to him for sharing that information. Now, if you look at the 65 hertz, it corresponds to the C2 musical note. Is that a coincidence? Is that, wow, that's quite something. So this healing water contains a musical note. And I don't think that's coincidence. I think there's something to it. So with that information, I said, well, okay, with my device, it's easy. Program it in, add it in. And that's what I did. Okay, next one, please. So the way it is at the moment is the memory gets cleared. So you drink water, it's got no memory. It is structured. It's got the 528 hertz added, and it's got the 65 hertz healing frequency. Now, this all takes about 46 minutes to do 1.5 liters. And then you have what I call magic water to drink. Okay, next one, please. Okay, now the last one, conclusion. So for me, I asked the question, wouldn't it be wonderful if all the people in the world could drink structured healing water imprinted with 528 with this memory cleared? I just think that on itself will heal a lot of people by drinking this beautiful water. That's it. Thank you. Now, questions.
Thank you, Philip. Right, who's got the first question? Want to raise your hand?
Can I ask?
Yes, go for it, Janet.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so I want this like yesterday. So can you give us an indication of where to get it, what it costs, all that kind of stuff, please?
Well, we at this moment right now, we are busy preparing for production. sorting out what the box is going to look like, and label and things like that. So the development is done, but we just need to now get this into production, because I think it's a wonderful product for everybody. Should have it.
Yeah, so the product will be available through Biosil and through Natural Heal.
Yes.
Steve that spoke 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'll send it. I'll put up the links as soon as the product is available online.
Okay.
And I think we lost
Oh.
her. She might have lost connection. Okay. Donnie.
Ozzy, yesterday, man, this is beautiful. It's good to hear somebody who knows what they're talking about. Philip, congratulations. This is beautiful. I had the privilege to do some research of my own for a few years back, and I also came to a few conclusions that I want to share with you. And actually, we got kind of to the same things. What I did is for a quick fix, I used a normal stony bottle that is color, that has a color for sunlight blocking, and I put 2 bags of marbles in it. I put it on it, and I just poured my water through it. Man, it only doing that for a few times. You can even go and put some crystals in between and all those kind of stories, but you guys must taste it. If you take that water and you pour it through and you put it in your mouth, it's like wine. It's kind of, it vapors. You don't feel it on your tongue. If you try normal water, it's solid. If you do this thing, it's light on in your mouth. And actually, talking about 12 minutes, then your blood can already sense it. They say if you drink this kind of water, it kind of dissolve before it get into your stomach, into your body. So quick does it go into your system. I didn't try it to drink it and see if I get full, but that's the theory. Then the other thing that I was also thinking about is the frequency. I thought of using 432 hertz. Did you try that?
No, I didn't try it, and the main reason is because I couldn't find any proof that that clinical trials were done. But I do believe that it will work. But I can't tell you.
I thought between 528 and 432 would be the magic frequencies. Then so if you guys want to try, do the stony bottle thing, it worked. Even I have a RO system, and I took off the chemical bottle, so I use that water and I throw it through my wobbles. And man, the other day I was talking to a friend of mine in PE, and I told him to do that. And afterwards, as a colored guy, he said, "Hey, what the hell did your Buddha do to me again? What's in that water? I must run for the toilet hour after I drank it." And it's just his normal tap water that he put through the marbles. So I bugged up his whole routine in the morning. So while I was researching, I stumbled across Agatha. And the living water that they kind of use there, and they said that it prolongs life, and that's why I was trying to get to a kind of water that is near to us, and that's how I did that kind of research. So, all right, the other thing that I wanted to ask you, BRICS, what does it stand for?
I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but they call it the BRICS test. It's a standard test, So I can't remember what it is, but it's a standard test for the amount of sugar in a fluid. So that's what the BRICS test is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what you can also do is I have a vase kind of bottle thing here in the kitchen with a tap. So I put all my water in there. So I didn't get to it, but I thought of doing it is to put some stickers on it, love, and all those kind of pretty words on it.
Exactly.
Because Motor also did it underneath his glasses, and
Yes.
that intention also went into the water. So
Yes.
if you can put that around that canister of that glass holder of yours, it should also have a effect. All right, I've spoken too much. Thank you. I'm always over the moon if I talk about water.
No, I think thank you for that, but that's 100%. I didn't even want to talk about the intention, because that's a totally separate subject that perhaps one day we can talk about, the whole intention part. But that's absolutely true. So yeah, we still need to learn a lot, but I just think at this stage, the way I see water and treat water and drink water has just changed, and it'll never be able to go back to the old way. So
Yeah,
thanks.
I stumbled across a guy, a von Bergen, I think, from Germany or something like that. He wrote a lot of papers from 1930 till in 1990. His papers, paper trail, what he wrote about water and the research that he did. It's a very beautiful view. I feel that I even went so far as to build myself a solar distiller, and it worked until I went to the shopping center and the shade went over my pump's solar panel, and it stopped and it melted down. But it worked very well. So I thought of, if one can put solar distiller at every house, they can have the right water every day. And you know, my first test was 2 parts per million. So clean was my water, and my pipes were still faulty.
Yes.
So it was very effective. So if you put that through the marbles thing and the frequency, then you're there.
Great.
So again, last story. So if they say that water in your body is about 76%, and they say also the molecules are so small that you can actually make it 90%, then I feel that if you only concentrate on water, you're healthy. You don't need to concentrate on anything else. That's the magic thing. That's why I did so much energy into it. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm happy.
Well, it's just on a note there. This one guy, Sadhguru, I don't know if you ever watched him, his stuff. He goes, I think once a year, he goes up to the Himalayas on a pilgrimage, and he goes high up. And he said that when he goes up there, the water is so pure but structured. It's actually structured water that he just lives off that. There's so much energy in it. He doesn't eat while he's there. He just drinks the water.
Wow.
I did very much, you know, 2 times in my life. I just decided not to eat, and all that I did is drink water for a week, 2 weeks, and all that I needed to do is just to come slowly into the food thing again. But the water did everything for me.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Donnie.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'd like to, do you know how GANS water compares to structured water?
GANS water, I haven't heard of it. Where do you get it? Where have you heard about it?
Keshi, the scientist, he teaches how to make GANS water. I don't know, I'd like to learn about it, but that also affects the growth of the plant. So if you put a bottle of GANS water next to a plant, that plant grows much better than one without the GANS water, because it's plasmatic. It affects the plant via plasma.
Oh, GANS. Sorry, I heard dance. I heard dance.
Sorry.
Dance. I thought GANS. Okay, no. I know about the GANS water, and Yvonne actually does that. So yes, I know about it, but we haven't once again tested it, you know, with the drop test and things like that.
Okay.
We need to do some tests, but yeah, I mean, it's probably got some very good intent in it, and some crystals. So yeah, I think that's and then it will work.
Okay, so Bonnie, last year we had Benjamin Stale talk to us about GANs, the gaseous nano. So perhaps Ben can do us another Thursday, and he can just explain to us again what is GANs, if he's willing. I'll speak to him. But Yvonne at BioSol has got a glass jar for people that don't want to go through the process of making their own GANs. So they've already got it with the electrodes and a whole system, and they sell it through BioSol.
Okay, I'll speak to Yvonne.
Yeah.
Another question is borehole naturally structured as it filters down through to the ground?
Well, it depends on the source, you know, where the water comes from. If it comes from the mountain, you know, running down the rocks, then it will be structured. It will be structured, but you don't know. So that's why you need to test. Always, you know, that's the only way. Otherwise, you're guessing, and also you don't know about the memory. You know, where's it been? You don't know. So,
and also another question. Sorry, last question. How do you use structured water in agriculture through irrigation?
Well, that's the example I gave about the structuring device that you put in line with the marbles.
Okay.
So but remember, then you only structure the water. You don't remove the memory, and you don't add the healing and the 528. But you still structure it.
Okay, and maybe because my son is working on setting up a farm, could I speak to you when the time comes?
Yes, I think it's cool. And we are actually now with Yvonne and her farm. We're actually starting to do tests to do it on a big scale, you know, and structure large amounts of water, etc.
Okay, lovely. I'll speak to Yvonne as well. Thanks a lot. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. Anyone else got a question?